Bulgarian Bulgarian (BL) is an Indo-European language, a member of the southern branch of the Slavic language family. Bulgarian, along with the closely related Macedonian language, has several characteristics that set it apart from all other Slavic languages. Changes include the elimination of case declension, the development of a suffix-definite article, and the lack of a verb infinitive, but it retains and has further developed the Proto-Slavic verb system. Various evidential verb forms exist to express unwitnessed, retold, and doubtful action. With the accession of Bulgaria to the European Union on 1 January 2007, Bulgarian became one of the official languages of the European Union. History. The development of the Bulgarian language may be divided into several periods. Prehistoric period occurred between the Slavonic migration to Eastern Balkans and the mission of Saints Cyril and Methodius to Great Moravia in the 860s. Old Bulgarian, a literary norm of the early southern dialect of the common Slavic language from which Bulgarian evolved. It was used by Saints Cyril and Methodius and their disciples to translate the Bible and other liturgical literature from Greek into Slavic. Middle Bulgarian, a literary norm that evolved from the earlier Old Bulgarian, after major innovations were accepted. It was a language of rich literary activity and the official administration language of the Second Bulgarian Empire. Modern Bulgarian dates from the 16th century onwards, undergoing general grammar and syntax changes in the 18th and 19th centuries. Present-day written Bulgarian language was standardized on the basis of the 19th century Bulgarian vernacular. The historical development of the Bulgarian language can be described as a transition from a highly synthetic language to a typical analytic language, with Middle Bulgarian as a midpoint in this transition. Bulgarian was the first Slavic language attested in writing. As Slavic linguistic unity lasted into late antiquity, in the oldest manuscripts this language was initially referred to as the Slavic language. In the Middle Bulgarian period, this name was gradually replaced by the name of the Bulgarian language. In some cases, the name was used not only with regard to the contemporary Middle Bulgarian language of the copyist but also to the period of Old Bulgarian. A most notable example of anachronism is the service of Saint Cyril from Skopje, a 13th-century Middle Bulgarian manuscript from northern Macedonia, according to which St. Cyril preached with Bulgarian books among the Moravian Slavs. The first mention of the language as the Bulgarian language, instead of the Slavonic language, comes in the work of the Greek clergy of the Bulgarian Archbishopric of Ohrid in the 11th century. For example, in the Greek hagiography of Saint Clement of Ohrid by Theophylact of Ohrid. During the Middle Bulgarian period, the language underwent dramatic changes, losing the Slavonic case system, but preserving the rich verb system and developing a definite article. It was influenced by its non-Slavic neighbors in the Balkan language area and later also by Turkish, which was the official language of the Ottoman Empire, in the form of the Ottoman Turkish language, mostly lexically. As a national revival occurred toward the end of the period of Ottoman rule, a modern Bulgarian literary language gradually emerged that drew heavily on Church Slavonic, Old Bulgarian, and later reduced the number of Turkish and other Balkan loans. Today, one difference between Bulgarian dialects in the country and literary spoken Bulgarian is the significant presence of Old Bulgarian words and even word forms in the latter. Russian loans are distinguished from Old Bulgarian ones on the basis of the presence of specifically Russian phonetic changes, as in, and others. As usual in such cases, many other loans from French, English and the classical languages have subsequently entered the language as well. Modern Bulgarian was based essentially on the Eastern dialects of the language. but its pronunciation is in many respects a compromise between East and West Bulgarian. Following the efforts of some figures of the national awakening of Bulgaria, there had been many attempts to codify a standard Bulgarian language. However, there was much argument surrounding the choice of norms. Between 1835 to 1878, more than 25 proposals were put forward and linguistic chaos ensued. Eventually the Eastern dialects prevailed, and in 1899 the Ministry of Education officially codified a standard Bulgarian language based on the Dranova-Vanchev orthography. Dialects. The language is mainly split into two broad dialect areas based on the different reflexes of the common Slavic yat vowel. This split, which occurred at some point during the Middle Ages, led to the development of Bulgaria's Western dialects. The former yat is pronounced e in all positions, e.g., milk, bread. Eastern dialects, the former yat alternates between ya and e. It is pronounced ya if it is under stress and the next syllable does not contain a front vowel, e.g., and e otherwise, e.g., milkman, baker. This rule obtains in most Eastern dialects, although some have ya or a special open e sound in all positions. The literary language norm, which is generally based on the Eastern dialects, also has the Eastern alternating reflex of yat. However, it has not incorporated the general Eastern umlaut of all synchronic or even historic ya sounds into e before front vowels, e.g., versus, meadow, meadows, or even versus, frog, frogs, even though it co-occurs with the yat alternation in almost all Eastern dialects that have it. More examples of the yat umlaut in the literary language are Maliako, N, Malekar, Milchen, etc. Syadam, VB, Sadalka, Sadalishta, etc. Svyat, adjective, Svetets, Svetalishta, etc., which normally becomes e in Bulgarian, but the word was influenced by Russian and the yat umlaut. Until 1945, Bulgarian orthography did not reveal this alternation and used the original Old Slavic Cyrillic letter yat, which was commonly called at the time, to express the historical yat vowel or at least root vowels displaying the ya-e alternation. The letter was used in each occurrence of such a root, regardless of the actual pronunciation of the vowel. Thus, both Maliako and Malekar were spelled with, among other things. This was seen as a way to reconcile the Western and the Eastern dialects and maintain language unity at a time when much of Bulgaria's Western dialect area was controlled by Serbia and Greece. But there were still hopes and occasional attempts to recover it. With the 1945 orthographic reform, this letter was abolished and the present spelling was introduced, reflecting the alternation in pronunciation. This had implications for some grammatical constructions. The third-person plural pronoun and its derivatives. Before 1945 the pronoun they was spelled, and its derivatives took this as the root. After the orthographic change, the pronoun and its derivatives were given an equal share of soft and hard spellings. They, them, their, tehen, Tiana, Tiano, Teni. Adjectives received the same treatment as whole, sile, the whole, zeliot, siulata, siuloto, slight. Sometimes, with the changes, words began to be spelled as other words with different meanings, e.g., holy became spelt and pronounced the same as world. They became. In spite of the literary norm regarding the yat vowel, many people living in Western Bulgaria, including the capital Sofia, will fail to observe its rules. While the norm requires the realizations vidual versus vidali, some natives of Western Bulgaria will preserve their local dialect pronunciation with e for all instances of jat. Others, attempting to adhere to the norm, will actually use the ya sound even in cases where the standard language has e. The latter hypercorrection is called shift from J to. Bulgarian is the only Slavic language whose literary standard does not naturally contain the iotated sound J. The sound is common in all modern Slavic languages, as well as some Western Bulgarian dialectal forms, e.g., Urin. However, it is not represented in standard Bulgarian speech or writing. Even where J occurs in other Slavic words, in standard Bulgarian it is usually transcribed and pronounced as pure, e.g., Boris Yeltsin is Eltsin, Yekaterinburg is Ekaterinburg, and Sarajevo is Sarajevo, although Yelena Yankovic is Yelena. Relationship to Macedonian. Until the period immediately following the Second World War, all Bulgarian and the majority of foreign linguists refer to the South Slavic dialect continuum spanning the area of modern Bulgaria. The Republic of Macedonia and parts of northern Greece is a group of Bulgarian dialects. In contrast, Serbian sources tended to label them South Serbian dialects. Some local naming conventions included Bulgarski, Bugarski and so forth. The codifiers of the standard Bulgarian language, however, did not wish to make any allowances for a pluricentric Bulgaro-Macedonian compromise. After 1944, the People's Republic of Bulgaria and the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia began a policy of making Macedonia into the connecting link for the establishment of new Balkan Federative Republic and stimulating here a development of distinct Slav Macedonian consciousness. With the proclamation of the Socialist Republic of Macedonia as part of the Yugoslav Federation, the new authorities also started measures that would overcome the pro-Bulgarian feeling among parts of its population, and in 1945 a separate Macedonian language was codified. After 1958, when the pressure from Moscow decreased, Sofia reverted to the view that the Macedonian language did not exist as a separate language. Nowadays, Bulgarian and Greek linguists as well as some linguists from other countries still consider Macedonian dialects as Bulgarian. Outside Bulgaria and Greece, Macedonian is generally considered an autonomous language within the South Slavic dialect continuum. Sociolinguists agree that the question whether Macedonian is a dialect of Bulgarian or a language is a political one and cannot be resolved on the purely linguistic basis, because dialect continua do not allow for either-or judgments. Alphabet. In 886 AD, the Bulgarian Empire introduced the Glagolitic alphabet, which was devised by the Saints Cyril and Methodius in the 850s. The Glagolitic alphabet was gradually superseded in later centuries by the Cyrillic script, developed around the Preslav literary school, Bulgaria in the beginning of the 10th century. Several Cyrillic alphabets with 28 to 44 letters were used in the beginning and the middle of the 19th century during the efforts on the codification of modern Bulgarian until an alphabet with 32 letters, proposed by Marandranov, gained prominence in the 1870s. The alphabet of Marandranov was used until the orthographic reform of 1945, when the letters and were removed from its alphabet, reducing the number of letters to 30. With the accession of Bulgaria to the European Union on 1 January 2007, Cyrillic became the third official script of the European Union, following the Latin and Greek scripts. Phonology. Bulgarian possesses a phonology similar to that of the rest of the South Slavic languages, notably lacking Serbo-Croatian's phonemic vowel length and tones and alveopalatal affricates. Macedonian, on the other side, exhibits a phonology very similar to that of Bulgarian, which has spurred controversial debates regarding its status as a separate language. An interesting geographic pattern of dialectal distribution shows a tendency of Western dialects to approach Serbo-Croatian's hard sound in contrast to the Eastern dialects' soft sound due to pre-palatalization and rising of underkanya. Bulgarian is typically analyzed as having 6 vowels, but at least 2 more reduced vowels can be encountered in everyday speech.